What's going on, everyone? This is DC Picks, and I'm going to give you the full card predictions for UFC Vegas 94, Amanda Lemos versus Virna Jandiroba. What an exciting main event. I can't wait. That's two back-to-back bangers for main events. You can't tell by my sarcasm. But we got UFC 304 coming up, I think, next week, so that should save us from experiencing this card, which, although it's fun, you just got nothing to look forward to, because I don't know about you, but personally, I don't really care about Amanda Lemos or Virna Jandiroba. But yeah, hopefully we can make some money and get our predictions correct. Before we begin, guys, I want you to check out this person here, UFC Prediction Tracker. He basically gets all the information and accumulates all the MMA predictors on YouTube and sees who got the most amount of picks correct and who got the least amount. And as you can see, for last week, UFC Denver, I came in third place for the most correct picks and also the most money won. So hypothetically, if you put $100 on each of my bets, or each of my predictions, you would have came out with $421 or a 42% ROI. So we had a good weekend last week. Just shows that this year has been an absolute scorcher for us. You know, we've done well this year. And we're going to continue this trend and hopefully grow this community, which is DC Picks. Without further ado, I think I should begin with the first pick, which is Mohammad Usman versus Thomas Petersen. Oh, I love heavyweight. I love heavyweight. Guys, if you didn't know, I hate heavyweight fights. I hate them because of this reason here. This is going to be an absolute snooze fest. But let's just go to the prediction first, okay? So we'll start off with Usman. He's, of course, Kamaru Usman's worse, I think, older brother, or maybe he's just younger, just a bit. But either way, just much worse brother. Come off the Ultimate Fighter, and, you know, he's just been he's going to be like a journeyman in the UFC, in the heavyweight division. Just going to be fighting these low-level competitions because he doesn't really have much to him. He has I'd say the better striking of the two. He has a nice jab. You saw that in the Kelleher fight. And he has some power. You know, he hurt Mick Parkin in his last fight. And he also knocked out, who was it? Zach Palgar a couple of fights ago. So he does have that power, but not really. Like, don't get it twisted. He's not like a knockout artist or anything like that. He kind of just has these low volume affairs where he jabs his opponent and you know, tries to win on the judges' scorecards. He does gas, but he kind of pushes through it, which I do like. His nickname is the Motor. But you kind of got to weigh that up on how much that was before coming into the UFC, because, you know, it was pretty evident that he was taking roids before the UFC. So yeah, I don't know if his cardio translates that much into the UFC, but he does push through his slowness, I guess you could say. Thomas Petersen is just a, you know, I don't like to use the word fat. He's just a large human that probably shouldn't be that size, because he's only 6'1", so he's only a little bit taller than me, and he's fighting a heavyweight. I mean, that should tell you everything. He's good at takedowns when he can get them. I mean, he shot a really nice single leg versus Jamal Pogues, and on the regional scene against Waldo Cortez Acosta, he got some nice takedowns as well, some nice trips. He's also got, I think where he shines is more in the grappling, because you saw in the Dana White Contender Series, he got that nice key lock submission, which is a rare submission to get. And you could see, even when he got Jamal Pogues down, that he was quite dominant on the ground. However, if he can't get the takedowns, he doesn't really do much. He doesn't really strike well, and he kind of just relies on clinching the opponent up against the cage and trying to, I guess, wear out his opponent or just win a sloppy decision. For that reason, I am going to pick Mohammad Usman. I'm going to pick him for being the person who's more dangerous on the feet. He could get a knockdown here. I really doubt it. I do think this fight goes the distance, which is a better bet than picking any of these two, but probably juice to the max. But anyway, yeah, I do think he will have the better standing of the two. And although Petersen, I do think probably can get a takedown, I don't think he will be able to hold Usman, because I do see Usman being able to get up to his feet at least once and going from there. Yeah, look, it's a really low confidence pick because I just don't rate either of these fighters. But if we're going off what the judges love these days, they love damage. They love people that can strike rather than grapple and clinch. And I think Usman will just be able to pop out that jab and, you know, have a competitive fight. You know, he had a competitive fight against Mick Parkin, who I think is levels above Petersen. I wouldn't say levels, actually. I'll just say better than Petersen. And yeah, so he had a competitive fight with Mick Parkin, and, you know, I think he can have a competitive fight with Petersen and actually get the dub here. So give me Usman, very low confidence, but yeah, I think he wins this by decision. Next up for UFC Vegas 94, we have Luana Carolina versus Lucie Pudilova. And guys, I'll be straight up honest with you. I was going to pick Carolina before I found out some vital piece of information I think you should know. This is going to be fought at 135 pounds. Now, Carolina historically has fought at 125 pounds, whereas Pudilova, 135 is her natural weight class. And that's going to change my pick completely. I'm going to pick Pudilova here because I just think she's going to be the stronger fighter here. And I'll get to that in a second, what I mean by the stronger fighter. Now, with Carolina, she's a striker in this matchup, and she's a decent one at it. She had a competitive fight with Joanne Wood and even Molly McCann before she got knocked out, spinning elbowed by Molly McCann. But she was having a competitive fight with her. She also has good composure, as you could see in that Stolyarenko fight. She dealt with the sticky situations and actually found the finish in the third round against her. However, one negative of hers is that she can be taken down. Petrovic took her down many times, and you've seen in other fights as well. She is susceptible to getting taken down. Pudilova, what is she good at? She's good at taking people down, and she does have solid takedowns. You know, against Yinan Wu, she got some takedowns, and against Jocelyn Edwards, which was a robbery, a robbery and a half. She should have won that fight because she had dominant positions and was able to shoot these takedowns that aren't these typical women MMA's takedowns. She doesn't go for these head and arm throws. She actually shoots traditional single legs, double legs, and is able to secure takedowns on her opponents. Now, going back to the strength factor, I thought that Carolina would probably be able to stuff some of Pudilova's takedowns and be able to get back to her feet. But now, knowing that this is 135 pounds, I think Pudilova is going to be able to use that strength and that weight advantage to get the takedowns easier and hold down Carolina for a longer and significant amount of time. So that's completely changed my pick. I am going to pick Pudilova. I don't know if she finishes Carolina because Carolina is pretty tough and she will fight, until the end. But I do think Pudilova, sorry guys, Pudilova will win this and probably by decision. So yeah, I think she gets the takedowns. I think she rides out the rounds, and at least, even against Perez, she was heavily, I would say, out muscled in that match against Perez, who's just an absolute bulldog. We saw in the third round, she nearly finished Perez because she is a dog herself. She will fight to the end, and I think it's going to be a scrap between the two. Low confidence, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to take Pudilova by decision. Next up, we have Loik Radzhabov versus Trey Ogden, and this has got a lot of people divided, and I think I'm on the different end of most people. I'm taking Ogden here. Now, we'll start off with Radzhabov because we'll give him his props. What is he good at? He's got good power, and you've seen it in a lot of his UFC tenure, especially. He dropped Ribovics, he knocked out El Sawadi in the third round, and he's got good wrestling as well. He was able to constantly take down Ribovics. But you could definitely see in that fight that Ribovics was a much, much smaller man. Radzhabov is on some juice, I'm telling you, because he is a huge, huge fighter for this division. What's wrong with him, or what I don't like about him, I should say, is he's been dropped in every single one of his UFC fights. Al Sawadi dropped him, Ribovics dropped him, Rebecki finished him. He's also very susceptible to leg kicks, and you saw that in the Rebecki fight. Rebecki absolutely chewed up his leg kicks and within the first round. And the number one thing that I can't back him here is he gasses out within the first round. I'm telling you, at the end of 5 minutes, he is gassed. And yeah, he'll fight through it. He fought through it in the El Sawadi fight. He was getting dominated for the second round, and I thought El Sawadi was clearly going to either finish him or win that decision. But he pulled through and he got that knockout, which I think El Sawadi just showed that he wasn't quite ready for this level. But still, he gasses hard, and he gasses after 5 minutes. Now, that ties into my prediction of Ogden. What is Ogden good at? I think the best thing about Ogden is his fight IQ. He runs marathon MMA, which is his own gym, I believe. And you've seen in his fights that he goes to where his strengths are and where his opponent's weaknesses are. You saw it in the Holobaugh fight. He knew to just play it safe with Holobaugh, take him down because Holobaugh doesn't really have any wrestling defense, and not go for submission over position. Just he played the position role and he won that decision very cleanly. He knew as well in the Motta fight that Motta packs a lot of power, but to jab him, play it safe, and take Motta down when he could do so. One thing about him is that he can be taken down himself, and you saw that in I believe it was the Levitt fight. He got taken down himself, and it wasn't that good of a showing. But, he's got some underrated wins on his record. He took down Daniel Zellhuber and outstruck him. So this man can win these high-level fights. Now, what I think is going to happen, I think Loik Radzhabov is going to win round one at a very high clip. So don't play Ogden at the start. I think Radzhabov's going to come out, maybe even hurt Ogden and take him down. But I think as soon as round 2 starts, Ogden is going to have his way. He's going to be able to stop the takes of Radzhabov. And I actually think Ogden's probably going to take down Radzhabov himself. We saw Radzhabov get taken down by Al-Sawadi and he had nothing off his back. I mean, Ogden is probably going to jab him to death, take him down, and this is like at a medium to high confidence pick for me, because I just think Ogden has it all in terms of his fight IQ, whereas Radzhabov I think is just a loose cannon, and if he doesn't get that finish in round 1, I think he's in for a long fight. And I think Ogden is not going to play the game at Al-Sawadi of taking risks in the 3rd round. I think he's going to play it safe and win this fight, either by a 3rd round finish or by decision. So yeah, I'm at like a medium to high confidence pick for this one, because I just truly believe that Ogden has it all in terms of fight IQ, and Radzhabov is a gas bag. So yeah, give me Ogden round 3 or decision. Next up for UFC Vegas 94, we have Miranda Maverick taking on Dione Barbosa. And guys, this is very similar to the Trey Ogden versus Radzhabov fight in terms of what I'm going to say. I think Barbosa is the more skilled fighter out of the two. I definitely think so, actually. She has got very good striking in the 1st round, and she's got good grappling and wrestling. You saw her striking against Karakate in the 1st round, using those spinning elbows and actually, I think, hurting Karakate. And, you know, she's just got everything, the whole package. She can wrestle, she can grapple, and she's got, like, decent kicks and striking. But what happens after about the halfway mark, 7 minutes, she starts to slow down, and you've seen it a lot in her fights. You saw it in the Karakate fight, which I think Karakate should have probably got that decision as a huge underdog. And you saw it in the Bishop fight, and also in the Josiane Nunes fight. After the 2nd round, or like 1.5 rounds past, you could say, she starts to slow down and her skill set just goes out the window, and she becomes very desperate in what she does. She won't strike anymore. She'll try and grapple, and if she can't get it, she'll even lay on her back, and that's what happens. Now, for Miranda Maverick, I don't think she's great anywhere, but I do think she's good everywhere. She's got okay striking, okay wrestling, and okay grappling. But what I do think is her best asset is she's relentless. She will try and win no matter where the fight is, and she will always back herself to do more than her opponent. She's known to be training at altitude, and she shows that in her fight. She'll always go a hard 3 rounds, and she never gasses out. She can be taken down. You saw that in the Jasmine Jastovicius fight. But how good is Jasmine after, you know, getting that win over Fatima Klein? Even though, you know, there were some variables for Fatima there, still she showed her level, Jasmine. And Jasmine's a good fighter that we have just been underrating, I guess. But she also got taken down by Blanchfield. But Erin Blanchfield, you know, fighting for a title soon or something like that. So, you know, you can't really hold her too much to that. I do think she will probably lose the 1st round, but much like the Ogden fight that I just said against Radzhabov, I think after the 1st round, Miranda Maverick will start to find her groove, start to be able to stop the takedowns of Barbosa, and start to find her timing in the striking. And I think after that 1st round, she will win the next 2 rounds. I don't think she'll finish Barbosa. I think Radzhabov is much more likely to get finished out of these 2 fights here, but I do think she will be able to find the winning points in the last 2 rounds and win this by decision. So yeah, like I said, it's a war of attrition. She's going to survive the 1st round, and, you know, probably don't take this line on Maverick. I think you wait the 1st round and live bet Maverick if she survives, and then you'll see how it goes. Maybe Barbosa does win the 2nd round and we end up losing this prediction, but I'm going to back Maverick here. I'm going to back her to win this by decision, and that will be my final say. Next up, we have the return of Brian Kelleher versus Cody Gibson, which should be a fun fight, to be honest. I mean, both are at the tail end of their career, but both bring a scrap all the time, and hopefully there's a finish in this fight, because I do really think there is going to be one. So we'll start off with Kelleher. Against that long layoff, so he had a long layoff, and he had like a neck or spine surgery or something like that, something quite large, and he came back against Garbrandt, and he showed to have some good, you know, striking in terms of the leg kicks. He kind of chewed up the leg of Garbrandt, but you could see in the boxing there was just like 1 or 2, like 3 steps behind. He was quite slow in the boxing. He, you know, traditionally he used his wrestling. You saw it in the Kevin Kroom fight. He used his wrestling, and he also has that last ditch gilly that he's, you know, he got a few victories with against like Ode Osborne. But I want to bring you back to that Kroom fight, which is the last like full fight that we could really see of Kelleher. He kind of relied on his wrestling there because he was getting pieced up by Kevin Kroom, and I'm just not sure if I rate that very highly, because Kevin Kroom is just, he's meh. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to rate Kelleher, because I just don't know, like, how much can you hold in that Garbrandt fight? Garbrandt's pretty good, and you know, although Garbrandt just got beat by Figgy, you saw that Garbrandt had a very good competitive fight on the feet with Figgy. It was just Figgy had to rely to his takedowns and his grappling to really beat Garbrandt there. So, you know, I don't know how you can really be confident in either fighter here. We'll go with Gibson. Gibson, he looked a bit washed in his last fight against Miles Johns, but I heard that was short notice. And, Miles Johns, I guess, is surging in his career right now, with especially using his wrestling and his relentless grappling. I thought Gibson would actually win that fight, and it looked like Gibson was going to win that fight because Miles Johns gassed out like he usually does, but also Gibson gassed out, which was just strange because he came off that absolute war with Brad Katona, in which he looked like career best. Brad Katona's a good fighter, and Gibson showed that he had very good striking, especially in the first 2 rounds while he was fresh. And he was like hurting Katona, and if it wasn't for Katona's insane pace, Gibson probably would have beat most fighters in that fight. So yeah, I don't know. He's taken a lot of damage as well. He's old, both of them are old, but I think he's got to back Gibson here. I think he's going to be the bigger fighter. 5'10" to 5'6" is pretty dramatic in terms of height differential, and I just think, like I said, Kelleher looks slow in the boxing. He did well with the leg kicks, but I don't know how much it's going to play into this fight. I don't think he's going to be able to wrestle with Gibson. Gibson did well with Miles Johns, and in a boxing fight, I think Gibson's going to have his way with Kelleher. So yeah, I think I'm just talking myself into being more confident in Gibson here, because I just really don't see a path of victory for Kelleher. So yeah, actually, I'm a bit more confident. I'm going to make this a medium confidence pick. I'm going to bring Gibson to a KO victory, I think. Yeah. As this prediction and this breakdown's going on, I think I'm just leaning more towards Gibson. So yeah, give me Gibson, KO decision. I just think Kelleher is a bit washed in his career, and yeah, it's sad because Kelleher is a fan favorite. But yeah, Gibson, KO decision. That's it. We have another banger for UFC Vegas 94. We have Jeong Lee versus Hyder and Amil. And it should be a fun fight, and I don't know if it actually goes the distance. So I should say it should be a fun fight while it lasts. So we'll start off with Hyder and Amil. He reminds me of a bit more technical Billy Goff. And what I mean by that is he, I think, has skill for skill a bit more proficiencies than Billy Goff, but he fights the same way. He just is a dog that is like hunting for a bone and will do anything to win the fight. He will wrestle, he will throw down, and he will reverse positions, get reversed, whatever it takes. Yeah, so we've seen that he has power in his striking, and he has got decent enough striking. He's hurt Fernie Garcia, he hurt Somnes on the Dana White Contender Series, he, hurt Devante Sewell in the regional scenes, and, he packs a punch, but I wouldn't say it's the most technical striking, and I definitely think he's the less technical striker out of the two here, by far. He also likes to wrestle as well, but I've seen in many fights, when he does wrestle, he kind of gets reversed. He is, he doesn't secure every single takedown, and I feel like he does it to tire his opponents, because even though he gasses out, I feel like he gasses less than his opponents, and he tries to break his opponents by doing so. Now, what I don't like about him is, like I said, he's very sloppy. He got hurt by Fernie Garcia, which is not a good look, because Fernie Garcia was coming up a weight class on short notice, and it's Fernie Garcia. I don't think Fernie Garcia is anywhere near the level of Jeong Lee. He also, like I said, gasses, and I don't know if that's beneficial in terms of he gasses because he makes his opponent gas, if you get what I'm saying, or it's just he doesn't fight in a very manageable style. He kind of like goes balls to the wall and will empty his load within the first round, trying to finish the opponent. Now for Jeong Lee, he's, like I said, the much more technical striker of the two, and he throws some beautiful hook body shots, some knees. You saw in the Builder fight, he completely toyed with Builder, and people once thought Builder as a very good prospect in the division. And he has, good wrestling defense. You would think people try to take him down. They do try to take him down. You saw that in the Zha Yi fight. And Zha Yi is a much better wrestler than Amil. I'm telling you, Zha Yi is a very good wrestler. And Lee was able to hold his own. And, although I thought Zha Yi probably deserved to win that fight, he held his own, and he stopped the takedowns, and he was able to, I guess, outstrike Yi in that fight. So what it comes down to this prediction is, do I think Amil was going to have success in the first round? Maybe. But do I think Lee's going to have the harder, in terms of not the harder, but the shots that impact Amil more? Yes, because I think Lee has the more technical striking, will be able to find his shots against Amil, just like Fernie did. And I think Lee is actually going to be able to put away Amil, because as the fight goes on, although Amil, like I said, pushes through his cardio, I think Lee has shown that he can hold up a wrestling pace against Zha Yi, and he will be able to find his shots a lot better than Amil. Amil is going to be sloppy as soon as the second round hits. And I just think Lee, like I said, is more technical, throws in the body shots, which I think, if you can't crack the chin of Amil, you're going to crack the body, because it's just going to tire him out even more so than what he normally tires out. And yeah, I guess that just about sums it up. I think Lee just lands the more impactful strikes, and if it goes the distance, I think he'll win on the judges' scorecard. But I don't even think it gets there. I think Lee knocks out Amil, and yeah, that about wraps it up. So give me a Lee, and I'm going to take Lee by KO. UFC Hall of Famer Doo-Ho Choi takes on Bill Algeo, which should be another fun scrap. And like I said, this card, you know, has a few good fights. It's just the main event that really lets it down, and it's an AFX, I guess. But let's start off with Choi. Choi, I would say, is summarized as a glass cannon. And what I mean by that is he has all the offensive power, all the offensive striking, but he just can't take a shot. And you've seen that in his UFC career. I mean, he rips the body, he rips the leg kicks, but he has been hurt in several fights and he just gets wobbled and cracked. In the Nelson fight, he got hurt. In the Jourdain fight, he got KO'd. In the Stevens fight, he got KO'd. This man has, like I said, the firepower. It's just, can he take a shot? I don't think so. I don't think so. I know he can't. But in terms of this fight, I think he's going to be the better striker out of the two, definitely. Now we'll go to Algeo. Algeo traditionally had very good durability, but you saw in that last fight against Nelson, he got cracked and he got finished. Now, I think it was a bit of an early stoppage, but nonetheless, he got hurt, he got wobbled, and you saw the shot that put him on the shaky legs was at the back of the head shot. So how much can you weigh that up? Because you know everyone that gets hit at the back of the head, you know, their equilibrium just drops and they get hurt. So I don't know if his durability is gone or if it was just a lucky shot that Nelson landed and put Algeo on skates. But nonetheless, Algeo's got that funky style. And, you know, people say he doesn't have that much power, but I think he does. I think he's got that underrated power. He hurt TJ Brown. He hurt Alexander the Great Hernandez. And, you know, he's survived in the UFC by being that funky fighter who can mix in the wrestling and can mix in the striking. He can also go a hard 3 rounds. I definitely think out of the two, he has the better cardio. Even though I don't think Choi's is bad, I just think Algeo can push a pace better in the 3rd round if it gets there. Now, I'm going to back Algeo here, and I'm going to back him because I just think, like I said, the Nelson fight is an anomaly. I don't think Algeo has the worst durability out of the two. I definitely think Choi does. And if it gets into a scrap, I think Algeo is going to come out on top. I think Choi is a glass cannon, like I said. And if I'm backing a fighter to win this and to win this by durability, I'm going to back Algeo all day, every day. I know his striking defense is a bit weird and a bit wonky, but, you know, we know that Choi just can't take a shot. So give me Algeo. I think he can even mix in the wrestling. Nelson mixed in the wrestling against Choi, and Algeo, you know, is a credentialed wrestler. So give me Algeo. I'm gonna back him by finish, KO, or sub. So yeah, that's it. Based on durability, that's what I summarize this one on. So give me Algeo. Next up, we have Cody Durden taking on the returning Bruno Silva. And I swear Silva just fights once a year now. It's pretty crazy because he's a very talented fighter, and I guess we'll start off with him. He is an explosive, fast striker, and you've seen it in a multitude of fights. You saw in the Tyson Nam fight, dropping Tyson Nam, and I think he was like one of the first people to drop Tyson Nam. JP Byers, Tagia, all those fights, he showed beautiful striking, and he's a very fast twitch muscle fighter. He also has very good defensive wrestling. You know, he used to be the main training partner of Henry Cejudo. I don't know if he still is, but against Byers, Tagia, and Dvorak, he was able to stop a multitude of takedowns. And even in those fights, he got his own takedowns. He got his own takedowns on Tagia, Ulanbekov, and David Dvorak, who I think are better fighters than Durden any day of the week. So yeah, he is a good defensive grappler. I will say he does get taken down, which will be a factor in this fight, but every single one of those takedowns, he was able to get back up to his feet fast, and he's got the that jiu-jitsu to counter grapple the wrestling and threaten submissions to stop the wrestling being so effective against his opponents. And I think being Henry Cejudo's main training partner is a huge factor in this, because I do think training with an Olympian will definitely credential you in the wrestling department. Now for Cody Durden, I guess you can just say he's a dog. He's a dog who wrestles, and you know, he was able to take down people like Charles Johnson, Jake Hadley, JP Byers as well. And you know, he's got decent striking. I would say he's got the worst striking out of the two by far. But you know, he mixes in the striking with the wrestling to excel in the wrestling, if that makes sense. He won't just shoot straight away. He will try and, you know, see how it goes on the feet and then shoot. He does tire in the 3rd round though, and you've seen it in a couple of fights. However, you know, like I said, he's a dog. And for example, in the Charles Johnson fight, absolutely gassed he was, but he still managed to get the back of Johnson and ride out that 3rd round and win that by decision. Now, out of the two, Actually, I'll go back quickly as well. Durden does get hurt as well. We've seen it in the Tagia fight, got dropped, and you saw it in the Makai fight. You know, he got dropped by, I think it was a knee, and then shortly finished after. But yeah, going to the prediction, I am going to pick Silva here. And I'm going to pick him because I just think he has more on the feet and more tools to win this fight. I think Durden is going to have to rely on getting Silva down constantly throughout the fight, whereas I think Silva can actually hurt Durden on the feet. And I think he can do well with the grappling and the defensive wrestling. You know, you saw Tagia able to take down Durden and lay in his guard, and Durden was able to do much in there. So, you know, I think Silva just got the more tools. I think he can either strike with Durden. I think he can even grapple with Durden. And I just think at the end of the day, judges love a fighter who can hurt people on the feet. That's how it goes. I don't think Durden's going to have any success on the feet. And if it goes to the judges' scorecard, I think Silva wins this one by decision by getting the larger shots and doing more damage. However, I don't think this goes to decision. I think Silva picks up the finish here, either by KO or submission, because I do think he is threatening with the submissions. He's got those tight guillotines, those ninja chokes, and he's also got the striking. Like I said, he hurt Tyson Nam, which not a lot of fighters do, with that front kick. And, you know, I think he can catch Durden here. So give me Silva, give me him by KO submission. I know the layoff is a big concern, but still, I don't think Durden's going to be able to do much in terms of the striking, and I think Silva will be able to do a lot. So give me Silva, KO, or submission. Next up, we have Kurt Holobaugh taking on Kaynan Kruschewsky? I don't know. I'm just going to call him Kaynan because I struggle with pronunciations, and you probably can tell in my videos. I find it hard saying decision. Anyway. We'll start with Holobaugh. So Holobaugh is a very good boxer, and he has beautiful boxing, to be quite frank. You know, in the Ogden fight, although he got taken down, when it was standing, he threw beautiful body shots, beautiful hooks and straight punches. And if you want to see an absolute banger, please go watch the Jason Knight fight on The Ultimate Fighter. That was like Fight of the Year candidate if it wasn't on The Ultimate Fighter. That was an absolute war, and Holobaugh showed that he has beautiful rips to the body, beautiful striking. I definitely think he has the better striking out of the two, the more technical striking out of the two. Now, what happens when Holobaugh gets taken down? He either shows good jiu-jitsu, like in the Hubbard fight, and will either get back to his feet or can threaten with submissions, or he can do what he did in the Ogden fight and just lay there and, you know, I don't know what that fight was. That looked off for Holobaugh. And I don't know if that was just Ogden tucking in his elbows and just not letting Holobaugh do anything, or if that was just Holobaugh having an off night. And that happens to fighters. You know, Holobaugh is aging, he's 37, and that's definitely a concern. But I think that was an anomaly. I don't think Holobaugh normally stays on his back for that long. And you've seen it in his fights, he normally doesn't. He'll either play jiu-jitsu and try and get a quick submission, or he'll get back to his feet. But he does get taken down. That is a concern. Now, for Kaynan, he is a submission and grappler at heart. Not submission, a wrestler and grappler at heart. I know we've been seeing in the UFC and on the Dana White Contender Series, he's got powerful striking, but most of his finishes have been from submissions. You know, he's got 9 on his record, and he's a 9th degree Muay Thai black belt and a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. Now, with his striking, I think he's definitely got the worst out of the two, or the less technical out of the two. He throws these winging hooks that just, you know, I don't know, they just don't look that appealing, if you say so. And I don't know, his opponents can definitely counter off them. I mean, Elvis Brenner and even on the regional scene, this guy called Mantikivi was able to just outstrike Kaynan and be the better on the feet. And I definitely think Holobaugh can have success on the feet. Now, like I said, at heart, I think Kaynan is a grappler. And will he be able to expose Holobaugh's bad, horrible takedown defense? Is absolutely atrocious. Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know, because, you know, he hasn't really shown in the UFC so far. I know he hasn't only fought once, and then once in the Contender Series. In either of those fights, I mean, yes, he got a takedown in the Contender Series, but his opponent was able to get back to his feet. And I just don't know if he's going to be able to have success here against a vet like Holobaugh. I'm going to pick Holobaugh here, and I do think he actually finds a finish, because I just think his boxing is that good. You should really watch that Jason Knight fight, I'm telling you. But even in the Hubbard fight, you know, when it was on the feet, Holobaugh rips to the body and rips to the head, and he has seriously fast striking for the age of 37. Yeah, it's a tough fight to predict, because you could see Kaynan getting those takedowns and using his grappling, but I am going to still back Holobaugh. I think, like I said, that last fight was a bit of a strange one against Ogden, and, you know, if he gets taken down and gets held there, then so be it. But, you know, I don't mind taking the shot on Holobaugh here because I think he's got the better experience, better striking, and just the more credentialed fighter. So give me Holobaugh, give me him to win by KO or decision. Up next, we have the exciting Steve Garcia taking on the also exciting Seung-Woo Choi, which should be an absolute scrap, and it's just a coin flip of a fight. I'm going to be honest with you. Anyone telling you different is just lying. It's basically who lands first and who has the better chin out of the two. Now, I'll go into the breakdowns of each fighter because it's only fair. But seriously, this is a coin flip fight if you've ever seen one. We'll start off with Choi. So Choi, I think, is the better technical striker out of the two. He has very good striking, and you've seen it in like the Jano Aarons fight. You saw it in the Trezano fight, even though, you know, that was weird, like the double knockdown and stuff. But in his career in the UFC, he has shown very good striking. He also disabled the legs of Jano Aarons. He chewed up the calf of it, and you could see Aarons couldn't stand it. He nearly got a leg kick KO in that fight because Aarons literally had to drop to the ground because he just couldn't stand after getting chewed up in the calf. He also has decent takedown defense. You saw in the Tucker fight and also in the Evloev fight that he was taken down, but he stopped many attempts, and he was also able to get back up to the feet in a lot of them. So, you know, he's not the worst defensive grappler. What his liability is his chin. You know, he got dropped by Holobaugh, he got dropped by Aarons, he got finished by Trezano. So yeah, his chin is definitely a concern. Now for Garcia is actually a wrestler at heart, but you've seen it in like his last 5-6 fights. He doesn't really wrestle unless he gets hurt. And what I mean by that is in the Charlie Ontiveros fight is where he used predominantly his wrestling. But that was, I swear, only because he got hurt by Charlie Ontiveros, which is a huge concern because Ontiveros should not be hurting you. He is a very, very, very low level fighter, and I don't know how he ever made it to the UFC. But what Garcia does have is he's a powerful boxer. You know, he KO'd Mel Costa, KO'd Shaylin Nurbeki by hitting him to the body, and he absolutely destroyed Hooper. That was an absolute beatdown, and that's what made me confident, or not confident, but medium confidence in Slava Claus to beat Hooper. But we saw that Hooper, you know, has definitely leveled up now. What's a concern for Garcia is his chin as well. Ontiveros wobbled him. Shaylin dropped him in the first round and nearly finished him. It looked like he was shutting him down on the floor. Every time he threw a punch, his head was ricocheting off the canvas, and it looked like he was getting KO'd like several times. And then Mahashate absolutely face planted him on the floor. Now, I'm going to pick Choi here, and I'm going to pick him because I think he has a better chin out of the two. We've seen both get hurt, but we've seen Garcia have way worse reactions than Choi. He's been face planted, and I just think he has the worst striking defense out of the two. Now, I say that, but I do think that Garcia has the better will to win, if that makes sense. I think if either one gets hurt, I think Garcia will still be fighting, whereas Choi might just you know, fold over and take the TKO loss. However, I still think Choi is going to land first. I think he's got the faster striking. I think he has probably the better striking defense out of the two. But like I said, this is a coin flip fight. I'm going to pick Choi. I'm going to pick him by first round KO. But literally, you know, if you want to chuck your money on either fighter, do so. But don't be confident in either fighter because you're wronging yourself. People think that Garcia is going to wrestle. I highly doubt it. Like I said, he only really wrestles when he gets hurt. And I do think Choi has good enough takedown defense to stop it and be effective on the feet. So, you know, it might be one of those traditional Choi left hooks. But we'll see. It's going to be a fun fight either way. And, you know, there's no reason to bet or make a prediction on this fight. You can just sit back and watch and have fun. But I have to make a prediction, and I'm going to predict Choi by KO in the first round. Next up, for the co-main event of UFC Vegas 94, we have Brad Tavares taking on the Iron Turtle, Jun Yong Park, which should be an okay fight, okay? I like Park, I don't really like Tavares, but we'll get there. So we'll start off with Tavares. I would say he's like a stable fighter, and what I mean by a stable fighter is that he doesn't really explode, and people can't really get the best of him. He's just there. He's just like a functional fighter that's been in the division and fought the best of the best. And I think that's a pro for him, sorry. He's fought Izzy, Dricus, Shabazian when Shabazian was on a heater. Whitaker, Romero, just a slew of competition that's just at the highest level. And he's been that gatekeeper for this division for the longest time. He kind of has like I said, he's just stable. He doesn't really have explosive power in his striking, but he's got decent striking. He will be able to counter his opponents. He always likes to backtrack against the cage, and he just, you know, recently he's just looked a level lower than what he was. You know, his takedown defense is slowly deteriorating. You know, Gregory Rodriguez was able to take him down. Even I think Weidman was able to take him down. And traditionally, he's had the best takedown defense in the division. His power has definitely dropped, and he's definitely slowed down. For Park, Park is a kind of like Marc-Andre Barrier. He just breaks his opponents down. He doesn't have the best striking, he doesn't have the best wrestling, he doesn't have the best grappling. But what he would do is just chip away, chip, and then he'll win those decisions. Or if he's fighting low competition like Joseph Holmes or Dennis Chulin, he will find the finish on those fighters. But against the higher level fighters, he doesn't really separate himself. Like Eric Anders, that was probably Eric Anders' fight if you look at it in hindsight. And Park wasn't really able to do much because he was fighting a fighter at his level, which was Eric Anders. Now, for a prediction's sake, I've been tossing up and back and forth. I definitely don't think you should be laying the chalk on Park, but I think he still wins this. And I've been tossing it back and forth. Like, last couple of days I've been on Tavares, but now I'm like, who would win this and who would want to win this more? And I think it's Park. Tavares could land the leg kicks against like Weidman, but even that look, Weidman was having a competitive fight with you, which I don't think Weidman's the best fighter at this day and age now. So yeah, I just think Park will be able to do more, and I think Tavares will be backing up, and Park will be clinching, will be trying to wrestle, be throwing boxing combinations against the fence, and I just think he's going to win this by decision. I think fight goes the distance is a nearly a secure lock, and probably will be in my safety parlay, to be honest. But yeah, what can I say about this one? You just don't know where the head is of Tavares right now, and I know what Park brings, but do I think is the best thing in the world, especially in this fight? Because I don't think he'll be able to take down Tavares still. No. And if it's a striking fight, it's going to be very close. But like I said, I just think Park is going to do more in this fight. So give me Park by decision, low confidence, and should be an alright main event. But yeah, we got the exciting main event coming up next. And for the main event for UFC Vegas 94, we have Amanda Lemos versus Virna Jandiroba. Oh boy, am I excited for this one. Why is this a main event? Why? Oh man. Alright, let's just get to the breakdown of the prediction. So we'll start off with Jandiroba. What is she good at? She's good at the grappling. She has decent wrestling as well. She's not like a Mackenzie Dern where she'll fall to her back. She will shoot double legs and try and secure the takedowns. They're not the fastest shots or anything like that, but she does secure them, and she looks like a very strong fighter at that. Now, that will play into this fight because Lemos has horrible takedown defense, and you saw that against Weili Zhang. You saw that against even Mackenzie Dern in her last fight. She can't stop takedowns. However, this is a 5-round main event, and that plays into my prediction here. So do I think Jandiroba will be able to get the takedowns on Lemos? Yes. But what has Jandiroba shown in her UFC career and historically? She slows down a lot. You saw that in the, the Amanda Ribas fight. You saw that Angela Hill fight. If she can't secure positions on the floor, she struggles and she tires out like very easily. And with her striking, I think Lemos definitely is the much better striker of the two, and will definitely crack Jandiroba here or there if she survives that first grappling exchange. Now, everyone says Jandiroba is this phenom in the grappling, and yes, historically she is, but lately, and I'm talking about her last 4 or 5 fights, she hasn't really been able to shine with the submissions. She's never really threatened with too much, and especially in that Lupita Godinez fight, who I think Lupita Godinez was just way too small, she struggled. And it was Lupita that did the classic Lupita game plan, which was give her opponents every shot that they can. And what I mean by that is Lupita was trying to do these leg entanglements with Jandiroba, and it was just a silly game plan from Lupita. But when it was standing, you could definitely see that Jandiroba was struggling with the striking. I think Lemos is definitely going to have success here in the striking, like I said, if she survives. And I do think she survives. I think she can get out of the first round. And I think from there, she's going to be able to crack Jandiroba. And as the fight goes on, we saw Lemos against an absolute beatdown against Weili Zhang still be there in the 5th round. I don't think Jandiroba would be anywhere near that if she was fighting Weili Zhang. And we've seen even in fights that she dominated, she slows down. So this just goes down to really the cardio, I guess the experience as well. Lemos has got that 5-round experience. And if Jandiroba can't get that quick sub, I think Lemos takes over and knocks out Jandiroba. So yeah, I think fight doesn't go decision is probably a good bet. I'll look into a bit more before I release my best bets. But I am going to pick Lemos here. I'm going to pick her by KO. And like I said, I just think Jandiroba is just too one-dimensional in terms of the takedowns. Whereas Lemos, she can even threaten with her own submissions. She's got those tight guillotines as well, like against Michelle Waterson. And she's definitely got the power and the striking. So give me Lemos and give me her by KO probably in rounds 3 or 4. And that wraps up the card. UFC Vegas 94 is all done and dusted. I'll have my best bets out probably Thursday night or Wednesday for America. Or maybe actually Friday. Yeah, a bit more Friday because the markets are very slow to release in Australia here. And yeah, UFC 304 should be coming up soon, which is going to save us from these 2 past cards where the main events haven't really been spectacular. Other than that, please subscribe. Like I said, check out MMA Predictions Tracker. I'll put his link in the bio. He's rounding up all the MMA predictors on YouTube and giving out some useful information for you that you should really use to your advantage. And yeah, other than that, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. I'm really trying to grow this channel. I'm putting in a lot of effort, and hopefully you guys can see that reflected in the videos and the research. Other than that, enjoy your day, do your own research, make your own bets, and just have fun with it. This is not the be all end all. You should not be relying on UFC or betting in general to really, you know, pay your mortgage off or anything like that. So yeah, enjoy your day, have a good night, and I'll catch you later. Ciao.